Thank you. Okay, that was a true story. Yeah, I have some issues with control, and having learned a little bit about how actually when I let that part of me, which is God, be in charge, my life goes a lot better. And I just love the concept of grace. I love teaching about grace. Grace is amazing, it has been said. But when I was a child growing up in a fundamentalist church, I grew up in the Church of Christ. Anybody? Yeah. We thought you Baptists were the wild swinging liberals. Playing the piano, singing fast songs, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So what I got from that was the connotation that I was told grace means unmerited favors. And the connotation that was given to me was that grace is what God does for you even though you don't deserve it. That's what I heard. That may have not have been what they said, but that's what I heard. And that's what I felt. And I have come to know through my walk in unity and with New Thought and with the spiritual path that I've been on for the last 30 or so years that grace is what Spirit or the universe does for us free of charge just because that is the nature of God, the nature of love to give. It is the nature of God to give. Grace is what we live in all the time. We can't take grace away from us any more than a fish can take water away from himself. It's what we're swimming in. It's what we're swimming in. So my question is this. If we believe that, we're on the spiritual path, we believe that grace is available, and Lord knows, God is a good giver, right? God gives and gives and gives. So I figure if I'm not seeing all of that wonderful grace showing up in my life all the time, in abundance, in relationships, in joy, in happiness, in peace of mind, probably the problem lies with me. Like, God is a good giver, but am I a good receiver? Because a radio station can send out signals all day and all night long, and until you tune into that frequency, you get nothing. And so that's what I wanted to talk about tonight, is how to tune in to that frequency. And I think for me anyway, and I'm always really just preaching for me, and then y'all happen to be here. I have to say what I need to hear. And what I know is that I stand in my own way. It's not even that that I can't tune into the proper frequency. It's that I may have built brick walls in front of my receiver. And so that's what I want to talk about tonight, is the ways that we tend to build up roadblocks to our good, to our grace, to our prosperity, to our abundance. And roadblock number one, for me anyway, was sort of a misunderstanding of the true nature of giving and receiving. I mean, I was taught, Church of Christ, that it was better to give than to receive. Anybody get that message? It's better to give than to receive. Well, who's going to receive if everybody's giving, right? There has to be a balance. And I think we become so afraid. We hear this message about, givers are good, takers are bad. Well, yeah, no one wants to be a taker. But I think there's actually two kinds of giving, at least, and two kinds of taking. There's what I call givers, which are people who give from an open heart, from the abundance that they know lies within them. And we can give from that place, and we don't feel depleted. We actually feel energized by giving. And then there are what I call pushers, or doofers. People are going to do for you so much that they deplete themselves. They resent you. I end up doing so much for you, and maybe I'm making a bargain in the back of my mind that, okay, now you owe me. That's not real giving. That's pushing. That's pushing. And we're all afraid of being takers. You know, I don't want anybody to think I'm a taker. Well, a taker is someone who takes and is never satisfied. There's never enough. A taker doesn't have gratitude, okay? So when you receive, if you have gratitude, if you're happy about what you've received and you can express that, then you're probably not a taker. Another thing about a good receiver is a good receiver can take no for an answer. A good receiver knows that that's fine. There's more good in the next moment. I don't have to grab onto this good as it's running by me. There's more good in the next moment. So don't be so afraid of being a taker. And take a look at some of the relationships in your life. If you feel like you're in a relationship where you are giving, and the other person is taking, let me suggest to you that the universe seeks balance. And if all you do is give, the only way the universe can balance that is with someone who only takes. So I like to give practices to do instead of just, if you leave church feeling better, but you don't really have something to take with you, I don't feel like I've done my job. So I'm going to give you things you have to do. And this is a fairly easy one. As you go through this week, as you interact with each other after this service is over, pay attention to what it feels like when you give. Are you giving freely from an open heart? Are you feeling depleted? Because maybe you need to pull back a little bit if you're feeling depleted. And are you allowing yourself to receive, or are you saying, oh no, not me, not that, not me? Or are you taking and feeling like it's not enough and you want more and more and more? I mean, I've gone through periods of my life where I feel very, very needy. You know, me. And I have to take a look at that. So just paying attention to how it feels when you give, how it feels when you receive, and thinking about finding what the balance is. We've all done all of that. We're all both givers and pushers and receivers and takers to some degree. And it's about finding balance. So just as you can deplete someone by always taking and never giving, you know you can also rob someone of how good it feels to give by refusing to receive. It feels good to give. It feels good to give. So, I just want to share this story to illustrate this point just a little bit. I had two grandmothers. One of them was my Church of Christ grandmother, my father's mother. She used to literally make up Bible verses to keep us in line. Thou shalt not leave thy wet towel on the bathroom floor, or thou shalt burn in hellfire. I swear, she did that kind of stuff. Not my favorite grandma, let's just say. My mom's mom was probably a pusher. Can I fix you something to eat? Come on, sit down. There's something. I just ate. Actually, Granny, I just ate. Oh, I got some chicken in the freezer. I can make you a hamburger. You want some pie? Here, sit down. I had the privilege in my late 20s, early 30s of being able to take care of both of my grandmothers, about 2 years apart, not at the same time, during the last several months of their lives. I was teaching school at the time, so I had the summers free. They needed care, and so I was able to provide that care. And my stingy grandmother, who would not, I swear, she would not, I'm not going to use the expression that just came into my mind, but she did not... She didn't want to give. She was the queen. I mean, my dad tells stories about how when he and his brother didn't have shoes or enough to eat, she still bought a new hat. That was that grandmother. And yet, caring for her was so easy. She knew how to receive being taken care of. I knew exactly what was mine to do, and I was able to do it. Now, I won't say she never complained. She did. But, you know, if I knew I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, I could just let the rest of that fly off me. By contrast, my other grandmother was a nightmare to take care of. She could not stand for anyone to do anything for her. She spent the last several months of her life saying, "Stop, don't do that, don't do that. I wish I could just die so you wouldn't have to do that anymore." And so, really, receiving, being able to receive is a gift that you can give other people. The second roadblock, which is really big, is this: what do we feel we deserve? Because it's very hard for any of us to receive anything that we don't feel that we deserve. And I lived in what I call subsistence consciousness for a long time. I felt like I deserved to have enough to live. And I was a single mom, and I worked very hard, sometimes several jobs, to try to keep us going in my mid-20s. And someone challenged me to tithe, and I was just like, yeah, right, you don't understand. The person who was challenging me had money in the bank, so of course they could tithe. I can't tithe. I don't know how I'm going to pay my electric bill this month. But he made the challenge, and it was my boyfriend at the time. I'm married to him now, so I can talk about him. I had this idea in my mind that, okay, when I'm short on the electric bill, I'm going to call you. And I started tithing that month 10%, and from that moment, all my needs were met. I never wasn't able to pay my bills. And when my car would break down and it would be, oh my gosh, it's a $200 repair, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'd get a phone call. I have a wedding on Sunday. It pays $200. Would you like to sing for it? And it was taken care of. And that was a miracle for me, and I've been tithing ever since. But a few years down the road, it occurred to me that I had enough, but I didn't have more than enough. I always had exactly enough. And I realized that I was getting what I believed I deserved. And so I had to up my game about what I believed I deserved. And I think this subsistence consciousness that I carried with me had something to do with the fact that I just, carrying with me all those ideas that I'm not quite doing it right. I'm not good enough. I'm too flawed. Even in my relationship to God, it was kind of like, oh, I haven't meditated lately. I really don't want to go to God with this right now. I'm kind of embarrassed because I didn't, do what I was supposed to do. Silly. It sounds silly when you say it out loud, but that's the kind of thinking that I had. And I just love this. I love this message from Paul in 2 Corinthians. It's chapter 12, 8 and 9. And Paul's talking about his personal flaw. He doesn't name what it is. He says, 3 times I pleaded with the Lord about this, that it should leave me. But the Lord said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. What that means is there's not one part of you that God can't use. There's not one part of you that God isn't using. You can't block the good of God. You can't block the good of God. So let go of this idea that you have to somehow be deserving in order for abundance to flow in your life. You're deserving because you're here. You are deserving because you're here. And I just love that. I don't always like the things that Paul says, I got to tell you, because when I grew up and started really reading the Bible, I realized that all of the Bible verses that I was hit over the head with from childhood were not what Jesus said. They were mostly what Paul said. But, so, your practice here is to love yourself enough to know you deserve good things. And I can't go into a whole lot of detail here because that's a whole nother sermon, but you know what to do. Pray, meditate, hang out with people who like you and who are kind to you. Be kind to yourself. Do some self-care. Take care of other people and let them take care of you. And spend the time that you need in the silence, allowing God to love you. That's what I call meditation. It's a time where I sit and allow God to love me. And that way I don't have to worry about, am I thinking I'm not supposed to be thinking? I've got to still my thought. No, I'm just going to sit there and I'm going to allow God to love me. And whatever comes up and whatever I think and however I feel and whatever I do, it doesn't matter because I'm just sitting there letting God love me. So the third roadblock I find, and I'm really bad about this, we don't know how to receive because we're just plain out of practice. We've just maybe forgotten. I don't know. So, the expression practice makes progress. Yeah? Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Do you ever turn down gifts? When someone offers to pick up the check at lunch, do you ever say no, 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 and grab it? When someone compliments you, do you ever say, oh no, this old thing? Oh no, it looks terrible. I've gained 10 pounds, can't you tell? You ever do that? What about when someone offers to help you? Let me help you with that. Oh, no, I got it. That is turning down gifts. That is refusing the gifts of the universe. And when you give a message to the universe that you don't need anything, the universe is listening. The universe is listening. Our words are important. We learn that in unity, but our actions give a lot of information to this energetic force that is around and in and through us. So what I'm going to ask you to do, let me ask you this. I'm going to call you out now. How many people have in their wallet or purse right now a gift card from Christmas that they still haven't spent? Yeah. Go shopping. That's your practice that I'm sending you out to do. Go shopping. Use those gift cards. You know, I used to get good lotion for my birthday or for Christmas, and it would smell so good, and it was so beautiful, and I was so grateful to the person who gave it to me. And I said, thank you. And I put it in my linen closet, and I used the Jergens. Because, you know, Jergens is for every day. That good stuff needs to be used on a good day, a special day. Well, I'm here to tell you that if you leave it in that linen closet long enough, it will separate. And it doesn't smell right anymore, and you can't use it when that good day finally happens. Anybody do that? I used to be given I love good coffee. People used to give me coffee for presents because they knew I loved good coffee, and I'd put it in the freezers and I would drink the Folgers. When the coffee's been in the freezer for a while, it smells more like freezer than like coffee. So I'm here to tell you that I drink good coffee every day. I drink good coffee every day. You may not like coffee, but whatever it is that you enjoy, what are you waiting for? When is going to be the good day when you can use the china, when you can wear the lotion or the perfume? Put on that perfume when you go out to mow the lawn. Why not? Why not? Because I really believe if you don't use what you have, you're telling the universe you don't want any more. And then on the other side of that is the other thing that we have is attachment, which can also be a roadblock to receiving. Okay, we have things we don't use, but we also have things that we're so attached to that we can't make a space. And that's what that song was about, actually making room for grace to happen instead of trying to decide what it needs to look like and making it happen. I ordered a new dining room table for Thanksgiving last year. Finally, I was ready to not have to set up 3 card tables in different rooms. And I was like, get a dining table big enough for my whole family to sit around. And this was a metaphysical lesson I got from Haverty's. The day before the dining table was to be delivered, I got an email, and it said, we're going to be there between the hours of, probably 12 and 12 tomorrow to deliver your dining table. And here's what you must do. You must remove your old dining table and move all of the chairs out of the way, and clear a path from the front door to the dining room. And if this is not done when we arrive, we will not deliver your table, and we will charge you for the delivery anyway. That's a metaphysical lesson. Okay, if you want a dining table, get rid of your old dining table. There's no room for the new one. If you want new clothes, go through your closet and take some stuff to Goodwill. Let somebody else have the good of those things that you're not wearing anymore. If you want a relationship where giving and receiving are more in balance, you may have to take some time and walk away and face the universe alone so that it can know there's a void to be filled. If you never make a space or leave a void, how will the universe know that there is something that needs to be filled there? So we also tend to get attached to our stories. And I think it's really, really important to be careful about the stories that we tell. We sort of tell a story, and then we know the story, so we just tell the story again instead of checking in with ourselves about what the actual truth of our life experiences. I mean, and some of those stories are, no one has ever helped me. Well, still, really? You've never gotten any help from anybody. I I can do it better myself. If you want something right, you got to do it yourself. That's my story. And you know what? I am so tired. I am ready to change that story. And when I got ready to change that story, I started attracting people to me who actually could do it as well or better than me. Amazing. Amazing how that happened. Yeah. But I had to be ready for that. I had to give up that story of it's impossible. No one else will be able to do it. No one, I'm irreplaceable, right? Then I'm not going to be relieved anytime soon if I really think I'm irreplaceable. So attachment to our stories, we need to check in with ourselves on a regular basis and see, what is the truth today? What is the truth today? I've been happily married for 25 years. Well, maybe. But what's the truth today? It might be different. That might be exactly what it is. Or, I hate being alone. Is that really the truth? Maybe I like being alone. I don't know. These are your stories. You get to decide how to check them in and what to say about them. But the practice here is just to check in with yourself and to let go of how you think things should look. Okay? So we can be attached to our dreams, attached to how something's supposed to turn out, attached to our goals, and we can be so focused on our trip to Galveston that we miss the plane to Hawaii. Because people show up in our lives in all kinds of different ways, and things show up in our lives, and events and circumstances. If I had sat down and treasure mapped what I wanted in my life, and that's a true song, when the bridge of that song, when I kept on insisting on all that I wanted, I see how I sold myself short. And when I stopped resisting, I got what I needed and more. And that is the truth. When I think I know what it has to look like, then I can be waiting for the bus and miss the fact that a limousine just pulled up at the curb. So I have to open my mind. I have to say, okay, God, the point is I want to get from A to B. You get to decide how I get there. Or you may send me transportation and I may not end up at B. I may end up at C or Q, but I'm going to trust that that's going to be the place that I need to be. And it's amazing how we ride on those waves of grace when we open ourselves to allowing it to move in our lives. So just a little wrap up here. We're getting toward the end of this. I just want to go through some, just to remind you of your things that you're supposed to do. So force yourself to graciously accept gifts. That means every compliment, you say thank you. And then you breathe it in and think, I've been given the gift of seeing myself through someone else's eyes. Whether I agree with it or not, I don't have to tell them my hair is greasy and that's why it looks so shiny today. I can just say, I have been given the gift of seeing myself through someone else's eyes, and what a precious gift that is. Thank you. When someone offers help, I say yes, even if I can do it better myself. Even if I think I could do it faster myself. Because you know what? I let somebody else do it for a little bit, and then I get to rest for a moment. I've been given the gift of being able to sit down 30 seconds sooner than I would otherwise have been able to sit down in my busy day. I've been given the gift of someone's company while I'm doing whatever it is that I'm doing that I think is so important. So accept those offers of help and use your gifts. Go home, break out the good lotion, the perfume, the coffee, spend those gift cards, use your good dishes, wear your red dress, don't wait for the party, and begin to know your worth. Because actually, when you go shopping and you use the gifts and you say thank you and you wear the red dress and you put on the perfume to mow the lawn, then you will start to believe that you are worth that perfume. You will start to believe that you are worth eating on the fine china. Because the truth is you are. You are. And don't fall in love with how your goals should look. Let God decide what they should look. The desires of your heart, I really believe, were put there by God, by our higher power, by the universe of love. But I happen to believe that God's imagination is bigger than mine. So I get to say, God, this is what I want, but I trust you to give me what you would have me receive. And life opens up in ways that I could not have imagined. You can't make this stuff up, I'm telling you. God can make it up, but I can't. So the other thing that really limits us is, and I just want to say this really quickly, is our judgment. We walk around all day going, this is good, this is bad, this is ugly, this is pretty. I hate this, I like this. When we can get into a frame of mind that says, everything is as it is, and begin to accept, just to accept. That doesn't mean you approve of it, that doesn't mean you condone it. You just go, this is the reality of what it is. And then begin to school myself to stop complaining. When I get into acceptance, I'm not complaining so much anymore. And then, the universe is not as inclined to give you things when all you do is complain about them when you get them. We do that. We're so privileged, really, in the United States of America that we complain about a whole bunch of stuff that other people would be grateful to have. So just watch the complaining and learn to live in some acceptance, not only of things and events and other people, but in acceptance of yourself. Stop complaining about your body. Start loving it. Stop complaining about what you perceive as your flaws and know that God can make a good work with every single part of you with no change whatsoever. Appreciate and enjoy what you already have, because really the biggest secret to opening up grace is simply gratitude. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And thank you all for having me.